So let's regroup the Suicide Squad.
Okay, so I didn't really get into a lot of stuff that, because you kind of talked about it and we're talking about positive stuff, and like I didn't really feel like getting into it, but I want to get into it. Like I saw some reviews of Suicide Squad calling it lackluster and weak, and the only thing good about it was Will Smith's performance and Margot Robbie's performance. The soundtrack was so pandering and got stuck on the classic rock station, and it didn't make any sense. And these are the same people who loved the irreverence of Guardians of the Galaxy, thought the 70s pop mixtape idea was so cool, but the Suicide Squad idea of making music a bigger part of it was one note and pandering. Yeah. Which I completely disagree with, because last time I checked, Eminem wasn't classic rock. That's just me. I mean,
hip hop.
I checked recently, and I don't think Eminem is classic rock, right?
No,
okay. And there's a lot of other music other than the first two songs you hear, which yes are classic rock songs and fit perfectly in the moment that they're in. I didn't end up reading the article about why the Slipknot backstory was cut and why he was cut so quickly from the movie. That's something I would have liked to have seen. So I'm going to go, like, these are the things I didn't necessarily like too much. The CG on Enchantress at the end, I thought was awful, but
I forgot to mention that.
The fight looked really good. The big battle.
The fight of it was great, yeah.
Yeah. With Diablo and the other character that looked really good.
That full transformation was pretty.
And
nice.
I think they saw, like, all right, guys, this is where the CG money's got to go. This fight has to look good. We can skimp on the dialogue-y part, but this has to look good, and it did. I thought it looked really, really good. I do sort of agree with some criticisms of the movie of, like, why are we rooting for these guys? If they're the worst of the worst, why are we rooting for them? Just for the sake of having anti-heroes? Like, they don't really get into that. And the other criticism that I don't agree with was, like, they were talking about how Enchantress was a problem that they caused. Why don't you see the last 3 Marvel movies? They have to stop problems that they caused. So that, to me, is an invalid criticism if you're going to talk about how much you loved Ultron or the last Iron Man movie or any Marvel movie. It's a problem they caused that they had to go and fight or fix. And so that's an invalid criticism of me. So yeah, really the only thing I didn't like was, like, I mean, the short shrift of Slipknot not getting a lot of time and the bad CG with Enchantress at the end.
From, like, what I've looked up, that's, like, straight out of the comics with Slipknot.
Yeah, I know, but
how they kill him.
Yeah, but they shot something. I just ended up getting cut from what I read. It's like they shot a backstory for him and everything, and just thought this would.
Movie is just too long.
And and they thought this would hit the feel of that moment better. Yeah. That was a nod for the comic book people. Like, here you go. But yeah, I really. There was only a couple of times where I felt like Margot Robbie's performance was less than stellar. But overall, I thought she did a really, really good job of putting her own twist on the Harley Quinn character.
Yeah, I like what she brought to Harley Quinn.
And Will Smith was Will Smith. He's good in everything. He's good in this. The other thing that I thought was really, really cool. So I like this better than I like Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice.
So then you could agree with me.
Yeah, and the reason I like it better is because the take on Batman in this movie is better than any part of Batman in Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. Like, fuck, man, he was so cool in this movie. Like, I understand what they were doing with that one, with Dawn of Justice. I get it. It's cool. I really enjoyed that movie for what it was. It has its problems, as we've talked about, but I really enjoyed that movie for what it was. But this was the superior movie. This was a cool story, a mixing of a whole bunch of things, putting together these characters. And like I said, the only downside was they didn't really give us a reason to root for them. other than they had to go solve their own problem that they caused. I think it's dope that God, what's her name, playing Amanda Waller.
Viola Davis.
Yeah, she's still using her, and I think that's great. You and I both got really excited when we saw her in Green Lantern because the way they portrayed her character, and like,
that's right. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, all right, they're gonna go forward with
Yeah.
this. It's gonna be cool, and they kept her, which was the right move, the right fucking move, because she is so good in this movie, and that sequence where they're going to rescue her reminded me of The Raid.
So right.
Yeah. Just going through the building,
just
floor,
action. Oh, the action.
floor by
yeah,
floor, the action sequences.
So you're talking about the story and
no,
everything,
the
but
way
what?
it was shot, like everything.
Yeah, yeah.
It felt
It felt
so
very Raidy.
Yeah, it felt like. And the thing I liked about The Raid was like it felt like you were there.
Yeah.
The
Have
way
you
they
seen
shot
that,
it.
Bryce?
Have you seen The Raid?
You gotta see
Oh,
that.
it's so good.
Especially if you like action.
I thought we were talking about Destiny for a second. Isn't that
Oh.
what we call it?
Oh, yeah.
I was actually trying to put it together. I'm like, is he talking about what we do? And then he's like, it feels like you're done. I'm like, okay, no.
Yeah.
Destiny.
But yeah, I really, really enjoyed the movie a lot. Not a lot of things I can complain about. There are things you can complain about. I do disagree with you though, sir, about Jared Leto.
Really?
I really fucking liked his performance a lot.
I'm with you on that too.
Do you want to know why I like this performance so much? He took a little bit of Nicholson, he took a little bit of Ledger, and he mixed it with Mark Hamill.
He took nothing to Leisure.
Yeah. Oh.
He definitely took Nicholson and Hamill.
The psychotic nature of it. Come on.
That's all.
I'm not talking about the delivery. I'm not talking about the lines. The way he carried himself.
The way he carried himself
is the Ledger part. Yeah, dude, he carried himself like
I'll probably have to watch it again,
Yeah.
but I don't see it.
And
I still feel like
I just still think we did like. I can't really give a full analysis on Joker until we really
See more
you
of
gotta
him.
see more.
Yeah.
But I still feel like your hang up is like you're so hurt over how he looks, and I feel like you're unfairly not liking his performance because of that.
I didn't mind his look.
And then you kind of
No, not even by. I tried to
Just
do
to me,
my
I know-
best on like his performance,
Yeah.
looks wise, whatever. But even like performance, like he wasn't bad,
Mm-hmm.
but he just wasn't.
Right, and I'm not saying you said
phenomenal
he's
or
bad, but I
great
just
or anything
I
either.
disagree with you because I thought he was fucking fantastic.
I don't think there's enough there for you to chew on a little bit.
Right,
But
I agree
as
with
well,
that.
Exactly.
Right. But you implied this, and I was saying this all along because you said something. I only caught a little bit, but you said something about like when Rick was talking about the look, and like, isn't that kind of like what Nicholson looked?
The gangster.
And I've kind
look,
of right,
yeah.
and I'm like, that's kind of I'm like, he doesn't like. I realize he doesn't look like the way Joker has looked
Before.
lately.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I mean, to me, it's like I don't think it's that far out there of a look. I mean, he has got some piercings and some tattoos.
I think it's funny. It's like, oh man, that's not my Joker. It's like, yeah, but your Joker has a white face and green hair. Like,
right.
how are you? I'm not saying you, but everybody else complaining about the look. It's like, wait, you're ragging on this dude who's got a couple tattoos and some piercings. When like, yeah, I don't know. I really like. There was a lot of Mark Hamill in his Joker.
Since Quicksilver, you know, I've kind of been holding the judge on looks.
Yeah.
And his performance, I say, was definitely Nicholson.
Yeah.
Inspired.
But
I don't know how you don't get Ledger out of it.
But the Mark Hamill aspect, you can tell
Can't speak
that if you asked Jared Leto who his Joker was, he would tell you my Joker is Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
I guarantee you he would say that. Like just like if like anybody like Kevin Smith talks about this all the time about Batman. He's like his Batman is Adam West and will always be Adam West.
Right.
He likes what Christian Bale did. He enjoys what Affleck is doing. He likes other Batman, but his Batman will always be Adam West. And I think being somebody who grew up watching a lot of the animated series, but I love the 60s TV show. I love the 89 and 91 movies. I love the Christopher Nolan stuff. But I'm my Joker is Mark Hamill. Like, will always be. Because that's... And I really feel like Jared Leto tapped into a lot of that. And I really loved the stuff at the club with Harley. And he's like, you like her? Go ahead and take her. And that part, like, you brought up, like, the mobster, gangster kind of thing. And, like, the first thing I thought was, like, whoa, dude, when the boss offers you something, you fucking take it. Like that, and that's exactly what that vibe was, because when he turns it down, that's what pisses him off. And my favorite part of the movie is that scene. Because he goes like this, and the guy's like, and he leans in a kiss, and he goes, I know you meant that. Like, that right there, I was like, yeah, dude, you got it. You fucking got it. I want more of this Joker. I want more of him and Harley. And seeing that 2-second scene of him in the purple suit and her in the full outfit, oh my god. I really fucking like this movie.
Albatross.
Yeah.
I think it'll be really interesting to see what they include with the DVD release.
Yeah.
I mean, there was articles that came out where Leto was not very happy with how much of his shit got cut.
Right.
And so it'll be interesting to see if they show that or if it just remains on the cutting room floor. I don't know.
But
I'm sure that's going to be on
the theater I saw it in, it cracked me up because when that helicopter goes down, everybody was like, oh no. And I was like, a fucking helicopter is not going to take out the fucking Joker. Are you out of your goddamn mind? Fucking Johnny come latelys over here.
Again, I don't have fucking much to stand on, but I like how evil they made Joker seem. He seems sadistic and evil, and I believe
and
it.
That's something that they tapped into with comics big time, like in the, like, I was going to say the late 2000s, but the late aughts, if you will. Like, they really tapped into the psychotic nature of the Joker and him killing people and all this other shit. So I really dug that they.
Yeah. I think Leto nailed that.
It was one of those things like where I was real skeptical. I was like, oh man, I hope.
You watched the Nolan stuff, right?
Yeah.
Bryce?
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Dark Knight, all that. Yeah.
You're trying to see. You're trying to see if I'm just saying, yeah, me too. Like, I know what he thought was Joker.
You watched the other Batmans too? They're really.
Otherwise, the other ones that I feel like that I've seen, I prefaced it by saying I don't have as much to stand on as you guys. The only other Joker I remember really well is Nicholson.
I just don't remember.
Is Nicholson's.
And I think this was like Nicholson meets Mark Hamill for sure. But I think in the way he moves, the way he walked around, the way he carried himself was that sadistic psychopath style that Ledger had. Just the aura about him, and like he mixed. Like there was even a little.
I felt like he moved more like Hamill.
There was even
or the cartoon.
Yeah, there was even a little bit of Cesar Romero in there, like just little tiny hints of it. And like, you can't go too much with that because of how hokey the '60s show is. But there's a little bit like that when he goes, "Oh, I could tell you really meant that." Like right there, I was like, "There's my Cesar Romero. I'm good." And I just say I could pick apart every single second of this movie and tell you why I loved it or why I thought it was too much or too little. Like, Batman that's my guy. And all the heroes and villains around him, like, that's my shit. And I really love what they did with all the characters in this movie, man. Like, it was so good.
I mean, yeah, I don't have a lot to say because I didn't really know much about hardly any of these characters, which seems to be, again, 200th episode. You can listen to a lot of these reviews, and that's what I say about most of this stuff. But I enjoyed the movie and I had fun with the movie. I mean, I think...
Wasn't it fun?
Yeah, I had fun.
God.
I mean, then really that's all that matters. You know, I mean, I think if anything, maybe I would have wished I got a little bit more background on some of these characters. Like, it would have been... Because it's the same complaint maybe that I had with Dawn of Justice. It's just a lot being thrown at you. But this movie was more focused.
Yeah. And right away you could tell who the stars of this movie were. Because both Harley and Deadshot got way more time than everybody else. You knew who the stars were going to be right away. Right. And that's fine. Because those are two characters that I really like to begin with. What else is Margot Robbie? And I don't think I've ever seen. Never seen it. I've never seen her in anything. All I heard was people complaining about her look and she's not doing an accent that I'm not in. It's like, I don't want her to do a retread of the Harley Quinns we already know. I want her to take it and do her own thing and put a twist on it. And the only time I felt like some of the stuff was forced with her was stuff. Not so much the bar.
Written for her.
Not so much the bar. The right before that, when she fucking smashes the window of the store, And that line, we're bad guys, it's what we do.
Right.
Like
That felt
that was written
for the trailer or for
That was
like,
for the trailer.
and
yeah.
like that's really the only part where I was like, because like all the other stuff, like even the stuff at the beginning, that you could, like you hit on something last week that after I saw it made a lot of sense. They took a lot of elements that DC in their movies kind of shies away from, you know, like the Enchantress stuff, just the cartoony nature of things and the over the top stuff, and they took it and they inserted a lot of it into this movie.
How comic booky it could be.
And made it work. Like, all I heard people talk about how dark and, God, this movie is such a downer. And it's like, not really, man. This movie was a lot of fucking fun. Like, it's not your regular thrill ride summer blockbuster, but goddamn, this movie was a fun watch.
Yeah. People are saying it was a downer, huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's too gritty and a downer and then blah, blah, blah. And like, really?
People can shut up.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. Will Smith was really awesome.
What was wrong with her accent? I mean, she had an accent.
Well,
to my
that
ears.
you don't want to. They want it. People who wanted it to be exactly like
The cartoon.
or exactly like what we hear in.
What, hers was
the
too
video game.
subtle. I mean, doesn't she just kind of have sort of this New Yorkie sort of?
Yeah,
voice?
but it's in the animated series and in the other stuff. It's way over the top.
It's like over the top Long Island accent.
Yeah, and she goes in and out of it in the movie, and I thought it was fine.
I think she does. When she did bring it out, it was at the points where you would assume it would come out.
Yes, and yeah, I don't know, man. I could just like Batman vs Superman. I could keep going on, but I won't because the movie's 3 weeks old at this point already.
Yeah.
But man, I really, really fucking enjoyed this movie.